Hello and welcome once again to episode 62 of Code Completion. It's currently the holidays, so once again, we'll be recording a series of episodes ahead of time, so that way we can have something to have during the holidays as you relax from work. So my name once again is Dimitri, and I'm joined today by Spencer.
Hey there.
So today we wanted to go over 2021 and reflect on our favorite moments from a tech point of view.
Yeah, let's do it. So
go for it. What's your favorite device that came out this year?
well, I think it's probably everyone's favorite device in our space, which is the new M1 Max. Both just the M1 Mac in general and the M1 Pro / Max.
I was going to ask you, is it specifically the Max, or is it the Max that came out with the Max, or is it the Pro Max?
I think we're just excited about Apple Silicon in general. I mean, I think everyone was pretty impressed with just the M1, right? And it's cool that was even some like, it's kind of crazy that was a little bit of a competitor even to, the $2,500 MacBook Pros of the Intel days. And now we're getting the M1 Pro and Max, and they're just crushing it. And I was talking to my dad today. We were out, and I was just like, I have not had really any problems with this M1 Max MacBook Pro since my work got it for me, and it's just been rock solid. And he's like, so when are they going to buy you a new one? I was like, I honestly don't know, because it's so rock solid that I can't foreseeably see that I will need a new Mac for work in like the next year or two. I think it's going to be a little more than that realistically. When it gets to the point where my old MacBook Pro was just like howling at me, it was super slow, code wouldn't complete or anything. So it's just nice to have a machine that finally will be faster than you and keep up with you. And so I think that would be like my number one favorite kind of piece of tech of 2021 for sure.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that as new versions of the OS come out, they don't like take it for granted that this is the new like speed floor, so they can go ahead and do like super crazy stuff from there. And then like 2 years later, our M1 Max that are now like 2 generations behind are like super slow. I hope that's not ever going to be the case, and I hope that Apple keeps a few Intel Macs around to remind them of like the reality of what the floor should be, so that way the Apple Silicon chips stay nice and quick as a result of that. So
well, I think about it like now that both the iPhone and the Mac is on Apple Silicon, we're still supporting iPhone 6s, right? Or iOSs. So I think it's got a little bit more of a runway than Intel Max did, where, I mean, realistically, Intel Max didn't really improve much since 2015, maybe 2014. From then to now, the last Intel MacBook specifically, performance wise, there wasn't.
It's been very incremental.
It's been incremental. Yeah. No kind of giant leap like we've had with the M1 and the M1 processors family in general.
Since you mentioned iPhone, I guess I'll bring up the next one that I really enjoy, and that is macro mode on the iPhone 13 Pro. It's only on the Pros and the Pro Max, I guess. But there's no M1 Pro Max. Anyways, naming aside, I really love the macro mode. It's super fun to play around with, and the fact that it just like a lot of people say they don't like the fact that it just like switches to the macro mode automatically. I'm kind of like a fan of that. But if you want to like force it, you can just go to the 0.5 mode and then zoom in afterwards, and that's basically what it's doing when you're in the 1x mode and it switches on you. So I think that macro mode is super, super cool. Small like anecdotal side note, today we were having lunch and I felt like the back of my wisdom tooth felt a little sharp. I'm like, what on earth happened? So I switched my phone over to video 0.5 mode and like yanked that giant thing in my mouth. But since it was able to focus, and since you can only get the light to stay on when it's video, like if you start a video. But I was able to just like yank that thing into my mouth, which I have a big mouth, thankfully, because that thing is big. But I was able to get a nice video of my cracked tooth, and to verify that I was not imagining myself biting myself in the back, like the back of my cheek right here. And I was actually biting myself, because there's a sharp edge of like a filling missing. So yay for macro mode for being able to help me self-diagnose that. Like weird human anatomy aside, I use it to take pictures of like bees on flowers and stuff, and I get enjoyment out of that. I don't know what else to say. It's just fun.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Dimitri's definitely shared some of his macro photos from his garden, and they
not
look
for my
awesome.
teeth. I haven't shared any of those. Don't worry.
No, yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't want to see that. What I thought you were gonna say is the iPhone Mini, but I think that actually came out last year. So,
and I don't have one. I have a Pro, which I miss.
Right,
I miss the Mini form factor so much.
You need the that iPhone Macro that Dana made.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
One app icon.
It's like, it's smaller than the what was it? The iPod Nano, the last one that had the touchscreen. It had like 4 apps on it at once or something. We'll link the tweet. It's awesome. I think it's something that I haven't really used much just because I haven't got out. I mean, with COVID and everything, but along with the cameras is I think the potential for like ProRes is super cool. And having that on your phone. I mean, I really should look into some examples of, how if you can really tell with the small sensor, the bit rate, the hundreds of megabit per second bit rate as opposed to the normal. I don't actually know what the normal bit rate on like 4K footage is or 1080p footage is.
It's around 100 megabits per second, I believe, like 100 to 200.
For normal or for ProRes?
For normal. And then ProRes for 1080 is like 80 megabits. So if you multiply by 4, that gives you your 4K number.
Okay.
That's at 10-bit, 422. I don't know why I memorize these numbers. It's just something I worked with a lot. So I'm like, yep, I can 80 megabits is ProRes at 1080, 24 frames a second. So I guess at 60 it's even more. No, you can't do 60, right? You can only do
I think 30. It's only at 30.
Yeah. For obvious reasons, it's just like stupid amounts of data.
Yeah. But I love that they're pushing the envelope of both, obviously, of the Macs, but with the iPhone, it's getting more and more sort of in the realm of like actually a pro phone, where people can realistically have this huge bitrate video and probably take some great footage with it. I would love to do more photography and definitely more video than I do. It's just I'm in my office most of the time and I don't have anything interesting to take a video of. But when I go on a trip or something, and I like to edit together just a small like reel of everywhere we went and everything, and that's kind of fun for me. And it would be really interesting to kind of see the difference between my old 4K footage on like my 11 Pro or whatever to purposely putting it into ProRes mode and shooting with that to see if there's really any difference or anything. So I don't know. I think it's a cool progression.
I think you'd most likely see it where like colors would band, like in the sky. That would probably give you the most detail if you were to edit that footage afterwards, like change the color and stuff like that. But I think that's a great habit to get into. Like anytime you go anywhere, to spend a little bit of time right after the trip to kind of boil it down into something memorable that you can look at afterwards. Because the memories are nice on the phone. Like when it reminds you, it's like, hey, 10 years ago, this is what you looked like. But to actually have like a tangible thing that you edited and like purposely made is really neat to then share with others. Even like 10 years down the line, you find if Photos presents that to you, then you're going to share it because it's like a whole thing, and everyone can have fun down memory lane at that point, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's just cool to I really try not to like be in my phone a lot when I'm on a trip or something, but definitely like I remember we were going up this like tram up a mountain, and it was just the you're going up the side of a mountain in this hanging box thing, glass box and gondola, yeah. And it's just cool, just get some shots where you are, and don't let it distract you maybe from being in the moment there, but just have some, like, I was gonna say physical memory, but have some short footage to be like, oh, I remember when we went there. It's that stuff's super cool. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this.
So what's the next thing that you're excited about?
So just kind of going a little bit more broad from Apple iOS land was like GPT-3 and kind of the AI driven tools that people made. Like, not that it was or is crazy good right now, but like they made GitHub Copilot, I think, from that. Some of the corridor videos are hilarious, where they try to make like movie scripts from GPT by just giving it sort of a prompt of maybe like a paragraph or something, and coming up with a whole prompt for Avatar 2 and stuff. So
exactly.
it's hilarious, but it's so cool. Like, I think we're really on the precipice of like having AI actually be very kind of useful in a more general sense, rather than it just being kind of something more specialized. It's pretty crazy what like GPT-3 can do. So yeah, I thought that was a really cool technology.
Yeah, and people are using it for all sorts of innovative tasks, like GitHub, for instance, using it for Copilot, where for a lot of boilerplatey code, it will just guess what the right code is. And sure, you need to have experience as a developer to know what's good, what to keep and what to throw out. But eventually, I can definitely see that as becoming a more an improved version of autocomplete, where it can go ahead and suggest to you ahead of time a smaller snippet that's more focused to exactly what you're trying to do. Because most of the time, we're not really inventing new things; we're just kind of rehashing old ideas and kind of placing them in the same, oftentimes, or a different context. So a lot of that can really help. Now, oftentimes, like if you have boilerplate code, probably need a better API, and that's where that improves. So yeah, I think it's really great that these AI technologies are starting to not modernize, but mature into something that we can actually start to use.
So something kind of along the lines of that is Dimitri's got a cool app that he wants to build, and I'm gonna keep pestering him about it because I want it too. Which is like being able to spin your own mail server up just as like a Mac app. It's just run on like a Mac Mini or something and throw it in a closet. I guess if your closet has an Ethernet jack.
And vents.
Vents.
Do listen to the most recent ATP episode. I don't know if you, Spencer, listened to it, but
I haven't yet. No.
Marco flooded his closet as a result of putting a Mac Mini in it.
So
lots of fun to be heard there. So I do want to direct you to the latest episode of ATP. We will put a link in the show notes. But yes, Marco flooded his closet by putting in a Mac Mini in there. I'll let you kind of try to figure out the sequence of events that can lead to that. It was very funny. So highly recommended. But yeah, don't put Mac Minis in closets.
Okay, put your Mac Mini in a well-ventilated area, maybe just in your kitchen or something, but use it as a mail server. And he was saying another cool thing that he wanted to do was create a machine learning model just on the machine, on your machine itself, so it could learn what spam you get. And so it's not generalized, but it's specific to, whoever has your email address, it can start to filter those out specific to you, which I thought was a super cool idea. Not that it's necessarily like something that he could only do in 2021. It was probably possible a couple years ago, but just along the lines of AI and machine learning, the possibilities for non sort of enterprise, large scale data center solutions are becoming more possible. And I think that's super cool.
Definitely. So no promises I'm ever going to make this app that Spencer swears by. But maybe one day it will materialize. Who knows? So another Apple device, going back to Apple stuff, another cool Apple device that came out this year are the super colorful iMacs, and I am in love with them still. Every time I go to an Apple store and I see all the colors, I like want to collect them all, kind of thing. But I resist through means that I'm not sure like how they exist, but that prevents me from wanting to actually get all of them. Because I already have an orange one, and I love that computer just because it is orange. So I am excited that Apple kind of revisited color in new and fun ways, and hopefully they'll continue doing that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Every time I see one of the new iMacs, I just think of Quinn from Snazzy Labs. He has a video on the iMac, and he just picks it up with one hand like it just weighs nothing. It's just like this basically empty shell with a tiny little board and the display and just these huge holes for the speakers, and that's it. Like, it's pretty cool. Just going back to Apple Silicon, like the envelope that they have, just the amount of, I don't know, efficiency and just literally everything that they've done better than Intel here, allows them to make these super light iMacs that don't need fans and are just, well, no, do they have fans?
They do have fans.
Oh, okay. Either way.
They don't spin up, but they do have fans.
And the MacBook Air literally has no fan. It's just crazy. So, super cool. So, and yeah, I would love to see more devices with colors. Like, that's something that the last couple of years have been great with the iPhones, is they've added, blue and green colors to the iPhones, and it's been like, finally. So, good stuff.
So I want to get back to the iMac because I have a little story to share. But as we were just talking about this, Lynn sneaked in with a sticky note that I will show to our video friends here. And Lynn did correctly mention and remind me that I did end up buying all the colorful HomePod minis, which is absolutely true. So on the topic of colorful things that don't cost $1 million, make more colorful things, Apple, because they are fun to have.
They are fun.
So the reason why I got the colorful HomePod minis is because we have 3 bathrooms in our house, and they are themed after the 3 Triforces in Zelda. So we have a red one for the Triforce of Power, a green one for the Triforce of Courage, and a blue one for the Triforce of Wisdom. And like the whole bathroom is themed in that color scheme. So although there isn't a green HomePod mini, and although the red HomePod mini is kind of orange, we put the orange one in the bathroom of Power, and the blue one in the bathroom of Wisdom. And I'm gonna have to be creative for the green one. Maybe yellow works. Maybe I wait till there's a green one. I don't know. But Apple, continue making colorful stuff. I will be happy to get all the colors.
Nice. I will admit, I don't know if I would want to use the bathroom of Courage. That just sounds a little bit dangerous to me.
So the bathroom of Courage is where the kitten's poop box is. And I say kittens, they're 2 years old. So the cat's poop box is. So you have to have courage to enter it. And we recommend that no one use that one.
That's awesome.
The bathroom of Power is the one with the bathtub, because that's where Ganon rehydrates. If you are keeping up with Breath of the Wild 2 speculation.
There you go.
And the bathroom of Wisdom is the one with the shower, because that's where you get wisdom. The
shower thoughts.
Exactly. So that whole thing aside, back to the iMac. The iMac was destined to be like my living room computer, because I didn't have a super awesome laptop at the time. I just had a not so awesome laptop that I wanted to keep plugged in and never use. And I mostly used the iMac Pro instead, which is in my office. So whenever we were in the living room, I couldn't really do any work. And I didn't really want a separate laptop. I just wanted to be able to do proper work on a big screen and stuff. So I happily got the orange iMac for that. And we got a little C table. So if you don't know, a C table is one where it has like a leg, a back, and a table. so that way it can go under a couch, for instance. So I upgraded our seat table by putting like a super thin piece of plywood under the feet, and then I had a battery backup for the iMac. So it was like its own little table. There was the slip pads underneath, so it slides around really nicely. It had a mat, keyboard, mouse, perfect little station that I could just like tuck in the corner or pull into, as I would use at the couch while we were like watching a movie or something. And I'm like not super paying attention to the movie, but I can still like tinker on stuff. So super happy with that setup. About a week or two ago, we got a new couch because my side from sitting on it with a year or two of COVID weight has dented. So we wanted something a little more comfortable. And we got a new fancy couch for there, but my seat table no longer fits in between the legs because it's now like a sectional couch. So although it doesn't fit under the couch all nicely, like all the way under, like it used to, it does still fit at the edge. And since the couch is higher up and like more sturdy, I don't need like a bunch of pillows to like raise me up to the right height. So it actually also works there, but that's my little story with how my iMac ended up in a slightly unfortunate but similar situation than it was.
I don't know if you're still doing this, but I think something that you mentioned, like when you first got that iMac and started that setup, was that the iMac was like, I don't know how to describe it, loose on the table. So you got this giant 2-inch tungsten cube to weigh the iMac down so it wouldn't be as like loose or flimsy, I guess.
So that was the motivation for the tungsten cube. That's not where the tungsten cube like ended up permanently. We ended up just using those pull tabs, the ones where you can like hang stuff and it's a piece of foam with like stuff Velcro on both ends, and then you can just like pull it and it will like unrelease itself. So we use just 4 of those to just like glue the iMac to the table.
Oh, okay.
And because it now has a plywood base with a backup battery, the bottom is like really bottom heavy now instead of top heavy. So the table no longer feels like it's just going to topple over if you bump into it.
Gotcha.
So the iMac is now safe because, as you mentioned, it weighs like not very much.
Nothing.
And it would slide around if it wasn't secured in some way. But now I don't need a counterweight, which is what the tungsten cube was for, from a purchasing point of view, even though I love like how tangible it is. It's a really fun object to have, if you can ever convince one of your friends to buy one on your behalf, because you don't need one 24/7. Right. But it is fun to have no matter what, and to play with for minutes on end. But tungsten did not come out in 2021. But what did come out in 2021 are AirTags.
Yes, AirTags. I forgot about AirTags. They're awesome. I have 2, one on my keys and one in my wallet. And they're fantastic. I have left my wallet. I always have my keys with me, but I've left my wallet a couple times and it's saved me. So super nice to just have your phone know, hey, you left your AirTag, you left your wallet at your house or wherever. And it works so much better than I was using Tiles for maybe 2 years or so before AirTags came out. And they're just way more consistent, and I love them. I think they're great. I just saw the other day that Apple's, I think it's Apple, is like releasing an Android app to make sure that on the Android side, someone doesn't stash an AirTag on
you can identify it.
Yeah. So that's cool as well. Good, I think, quality of life improvements. And my battery, I think, is still going strong. I don't actually know. I've not checked. Is there a way to check how much battery life you have left on your AirTag?
I think if you go into the Find My app, it will tell.
Oh,
it will tell you, but it should also warn you when the battery is starting to get low.
True.
But yeah, mine haven't complained either. Like some people complained within like a week, and that is like obviously something going on. If it used up all the juice that quickly, but
Yeah. Mine's still safe. Have the full battery icon, so I'm still going strong.
They're gonna last forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we initially bought like 2 of the 4-packs to both use for ourselves and then to give to family members. Notably, we put one on each of our cats inside of these little briefcases that attach the collars that Lynn made, which are super, super cute. And this is so that way if our cats ever get locked out or whatever, or sneak out when we're not paying attention, like we close the door on them and they wander, we can eventually find them again. Because cats, when they get lost, they tend not to get lost super far. They tend to still be in the area, but they're like scared, so they don't necessarily know how to get back to where you are. Right. So that's an issue. That AirTags have been great to help. So my mom's cat, for instance, is an outdoor most of the day, but not at night kind of cat. And every night she wants to get them in, so that way the coyotes don't eat them, because they have coyotes where they are. And the Find My app is excellent for like finding where the cat is, especially with the new phones, because you can just kind of aim your phone, and since cats generally are in the area, they're just kind of like hiding because there's noise or whatever happening. We can very quickly find him and like get his attention and then pick him up and bring him in.
Nice.
So that has
does he like freak out when the noise plays or anything on the AirTag?
A little bit. And
yeah.
I mentioned to my mom, like, if you can just use the arrow without the noise, and go with that. He's not too afraid of the noise anymore, but I suggested to her, you should train him by playing the noise and immediately giving him a treat. Because if he hears noise and associates that with treat, then he'll come home to get treat when he hears noise. So that's my big brain idea.
That's a good idea.
We haven't actually tried with any of our cats, so like I don't know if it works. But from the minimal training that we've done with our 2 cats, where it's like paw and stand and sleep and sit, like that works pretty on command. So I imagine if you can train a cat pretty easily to associate ding 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 from the AirTag with treat, and they will happily learn that.
Yeah, run home for sure. Mm-hmm. That's cool. I think that's a really unique use of AirTags. I've seen, kind of novel, I suppose, uses for AirTags, like mailing them to yourself and kind of tracking the route and everything. But ultimately, they're super consistent. I think a huge part of that is I've not lost my wallet or my phone before. I've just left them home. But I think if I would love to see some like statistics on if people actually find whatever it is they've lost with an AirTag, as opposed to something like a Tile, where you've just got the network of everyone's iPhone, at least in the United States. Many people have an iPhone. So it's going to update its location much more readily than if someone with an iPhone or an Android happens to have the Tile app on in the background and is able to access that, Bluetooth low energy signal with whatever limited amount of time they have to do that in the background. So
and there are a few videos and like tweet threads of people that have actually recovered stuff using AirTags, and some people have like purposely left their bike out without the lock to see if someone would steal it, and they were able to recover it after it did eventually get stolen. Thankfully, like they had to try really, really hard to get someone to steal it, and people aren't just like
terrible
thieves by default, and like for the most part it didn't get stolen for like several days in like normal areas, so that was reassuring, even if it was in a different country. But in some cases, like I remember reading a thread, and I'm never going to find this, so I won't link to it. Twitter search is horrible. Yes. But someone was relaying how they had their bike stolen, and they contacted the police and everything to kind of have them help them recover it, because you don't want to like corner a thief by yourself.
Yes.
After they steal something, like that's the number one way of like losing something more than the thing that gets stolen. But if you can have the police like come with you and get it back, that usually works better. And thankfully the thief sold it to a bike store and the police were able to go ahead and help the person get their bike back without needing to buy it back. Like, here's proof that it is theirs and that it was stolen, and you were unfortunately part of a scam, and that's part of part of business, I guess, to be prepared for that. And if you don't know, there's business insurance. That is a thing that can help you offset a lot of those costs. So don't feel bad when like a business needs to lose something for you to get something that you own. Like, oftentimes a business will have business insurance that will cover them for all sorts of things. Like, even people like shipping stuff, like, they insure those packages. Like, don't worry about them feeling bad that it got all ruined in the rain and stuff like that. That's on them to kind of make better for you. But yeah, recover your AirTags responsibly. As always, I want to personally thank everyone for listening in, not just this week, but all of 2021. It's been a fabulous year. Please be sure to follow us on Twitter at Code Completion to know when new episodes get released, and feel free to tweet at us if there's ever a topic you'd like for us to dig into. Once again, I want to give my thanks to Spencer, who's at Spencer C. Curtis. That's SpencerCurtis on Twitter, for joining me this week. My name, once again, is Dimitri. You can find me at Dimitri Buñuel. That's DimitRiBounIol. And not only will we see you all next week, we'll see you all next year in 2022.
Hey, bye.
See you next year. Bye, everyone. Bye. Yes, Keaton. Oh, my goodness. You were fat. We got her a cat treadmill.
Oh, yeah, the wheel?
Yeah, the wheel. She does not care for it.
No.
But I got the other one to actually gallop on it. So
really,
my new, like, while holding a toy and like hoping my fingers don't get shredded as she's going 30 miles per hour on the wheel, and I'm holding the thing that's very short. I'm just like holding that, and she's galloping like very, very fast. Sometimes she misses and flies away in a different direction, which is always fun. But my new tactic is get that one to be like so exercised up that she's hungrier and she can eat more of her share, then the other one will have less to eat.
Okay. Balance it out.
Because Kitan usually like shoves Sesame out of the way. And like just eats her share as well. And that's why she's a fatso.